Hello everyone, this is something new for you all here on my Patreon. It's a series I've been thinking of doing for a while now. It's an attempt at an audio account of each of my records, hopefully with some special guests involved. The idea being to give you some insight into the making of each record, be it the thinking behind the release, the recording process, or any of the stories in the making of the album that particularly stand out. The first offering here is the forthcoming album Flower Days, which I recorded with my dear friend Samantha, and it's going to be released on Pyrophone Records later this year. I caught up with Samantha in her kitchen in Margate in Kent in mid-February 2025 to discuss our recollections. Okay, here we are, Samantha.
Hello.
So we're here to talk about our new album Flower Days, and yeah, where do we start? Where did it start?
Well, I think it started during lockdown. We'd recorded our last EP, How to Read.
Yeah.
And we were happy with that, and we knew that we wanted to make another one, make it a triplet.
The triptych.
The triptych. So we spoke about it over Zoom, I think, maybe. And I think I'd just written a bit of Daffodils. Daffodils in the Snow. And then we kind of had this, we were talking about a new theme, because we always have a theme, don't we?
Always.
And we wanted a new theme, so we thought, how about flowers?
Did that come, so was that your, because I'm trying to think, because the first time we met, I remember it was during lockdown, and we hadn't spoken for ages because of all the COVID stuff, and then we...
And also because I don't really like you.
Yeah. It's just a business relationship.
It's just purely business. And what a business
it is. And what a successful business you put up with. And then we had that chat, didn't we? And you just moved into your little music room, and you were really positive.
I was feeling creative.
Come on, let's make some music. And I think you came up with the flower idea because I think you started writing these songs and you saw that linkage.
Yeah, I think so. We had a couple of little seeds, didn't we? Seeds.
There we go.
A couple of little seeds, and I think it just felt like it was the right theme for us, and what we kind of already write about. You know, a bit of nature, storytelling, all of that kind of stuff. So it really fit in with that. It was a lot of scope. Yeah. And I think Flower Days came a little bit later. I don't think that was the title to begin with.
No, because I think what we did, so we had that first chat, and then and that must have been 2020.
Yeah,
it was really long while ago, and then COVID happened and finished, and everything kind of got back to some sort of normality, and that's when you came to visit me in Southend, and that's when we wrote Flower Days, I think, wasn't it? And
we knew that it wanted to be called Flower Days because I'd read it in a book, Flower Days. Yeah. But anyway, I remember it was like a phrase, maybe in a bit of poetry or a book, and I just cannot remember for the life of me what it was, but I just saw the two words together in that kind of like Times New Roman-y font, and I just thought, oh, that's nice, it looks nice, it kind of just has a nice aesthetic the way it's written, you know. And then we wrote the song.
Yeah, and
I knew it was going to be the title track.
And I remember in that first chat we had online, we were like, it's got to be positive, because I think everything was so negative at that time.
Yeah.
We were saying we've got to make something positive in the world, and I think that's where that Flower Days, the idea came from. And I think it's probably our most organised record to date, because How to Read, which was the EP before, we wrote one song, we were like,
we've got the studio. We wrote it in the studio like total morons. Although I am happy with
and that'll be, we can chat about that for another time. But yeah, I remember we made that really long list. You made a really long list on Word, and then shared it. Yeah, and you said, right, we could have all these songs.
Who is this person you described? Where is she?
Yeah, it was back in 2020 in a room, and you made that list of all these ideas about what songs we could write about flowers and what the linkages were.
Yeah.
And one of those I remember being Lily Rose, which was this idea that Lily Rose was like an old lady's name.
Yeah.
And then that gave us that idea of, maybe it could be a song about elderly ladies or an elderly lady. And then obviously I think I was really inspired after our chat. I mean,
that fits right into the MG Boulter
aesthetic.
Yeah, you know, old lady names.
Old lady
and
names.
And then writing that story around that. It's a beautiful song. Beautiful song that you wrote. Yeah.
But you already had Daffodils and
Tulips, sorry. Yeah, and then we wrote Flower Days together.
Yeah, and then I came here to Margate and we spent about an hour trying to remember how to play all the tracks that we'd shared back in 2020.
Because it'd been quite a long time at that point.
Yeah, years.
Yeah, it had been a while, and then we also wrote Samantha.
And I've got the phone recordings of that where we're just chortling along like self-indulgent.
Twats.
Yeah, I try to think of a nice.
We're so nice to each other, aren't we? That's where the magic happens.
And you had that book, didn't you?
The Book of Symbols.
Was it Taschen?
It's a Taschen book, yeah, like a kind of proper coffee table book. And the reason why I have that is because Ida, who I also do music with, she has it in her house, and she uses it as a kind of like songwriting tool to kind of get her imagination flowing, so as if she's got a bit of writer's block. And she has it because a studio that she worked in had it in the studio for exactly the same reason when she was in like Austin or something. And so I was like, oh my god, it's amazing. And we actually were inspired, one of our songs was inspired by one of the pages of it. And it's such a great book of just kind of like each page is a different symbol. So like the mandala, the flower, or what else, I don't know, fossils,
eggs,
the moon. No, it doesn't have eggs.
Has it got eggs?
It's not got eggs in it.
Eggs are so symbolic.
Maybe it does have eggs, actually. It might have
we'll
eggs.
Find out. We'll find out.
And then it kind of just has this like almost, what is it, like kind of ramblings about the symbol, and it pulls from all kinds of different places, like Greek mythology or art history or musical connections or whatever, and it just kind of is it really just like sparks the imagination and creates like these beautiful pictures. So that's kind of what we looked at flowers, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then it was like, ooh.
I remember going back to Chrysanthemum. I remember sitting on your sofa and I was doing those two chords. I think we were just chatting, having a break, and then you started singing
Chrysanthemum! Wow!
And then you started reading from that book, and we were suddenly like,
"Oh my god, this
is a song! We've just written a song." But,
we love a bit of spoken word.
Yeah, well, it fills up a few minutes.
It's like pads it out, doesn't it?
It's all well intentioned.
No, it's all well intentioned.
So then we obviously moved on to the recording. So the recording of this album is completely special. So we recorded our first EP on Canvey Island. Then we recorded our second EP in Wood Green in London. Yeah. And this one we went up a notch, didn't we?
Oh yeah. We were like, if we're going to do it, we've got to go fancy. Got to go fancy. So we recorded it at a place called the Cambo Estate in St Andrews in Fife. And it's right on the sea. It's beautiful, and they're known for the snowdrops. Mm-hmm. They're very it's a beautiful place where they just have thousands and thousands of snowdrops in the spring, like late winter, this time of year, listeners. And it's a beautiful place with a beautiful atmosphere, and it has history, and it creaks, and the place is beautiful.
It was. I wasn't quite prepared for it. I'd stayed in Teesside the night before, and I'd driven up, so it'd taken about 5 hours. And when you get past the hideous ring road of Edinburgh, you get onto that beautiful road out east, and you're just, it's really flat, and there's golf courses everywhere, and then you come across this beautiful Jacobean estate. And I felt really, really lucky. I remember the first night we stayed there. I got the next morning, opened the wooden shutters.
Oh yeah, because you stayed in the fancy bedroom, didn't you? Matt got the fancy bedroom.
Yeah, when we had like these Jacobean like wooden shutters, which are very effective. I always thought they would be useless, but actually they're really good. Get wooden shutters for your windows, folks. And I just looked out onto the estate grounds. I thought,
I could live here.
We're just here.
Excuse me. I could just live here.
We were just very, very lucky. And the room we recorded in was this. The acoustics of it were great, and there was pretty much a window in every part of the, every wall of that room, so you could look out, and it was wonderful. And was it Binky the dog?
Binky.
Was it
It
Binky?
was Binky.
And Binky would, like a big Labrador.
Yeah, like proper like a state dog.
Yeah, like a solid, solid dog.
Yeah.
And he would gallop, wouldn't he, up to the the path to meet cars and people walking down.
Oh, it was so nice. We were very lucky to be able to go there to record. And we were there for 2 days, I think. Was it
2 days of recording.
2 days of recording, and it was just really good.
And that's a really intense time, because I wouldn't want to record what we did in 2 days normally, but we really went at it, didn't we? And they were long days, and
thankfully we were allowed to work into the night, so it was kind of nice for different parts of the music, because some of the music is super daytime music, and then some of the the other parts, like Daffodils, where it's just like, you know, you go in, you're in deep, aren't you? So
And
we
you- and you
recorded that at night.
And you recorded that sitting down?
Sat on the floor,
sat
proper
on the
Beatles
floor.
style, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoes off.
Shoes off. And when we did the chrysanthemum, I remember us reading the kind of ASMR really late at night. It was a bit awkward, but really fun. I mean, me kind of saying flowers, sensual flowers in front of my brother was a bit weird.
So your brother Douglas Waits was
Yeah.
there as well. So Douglas helped record it and added double bass and was the technical boffin for the whole thing and sort of cheerleader and
Yeah, he did a great job. He did a great job on it, working very fast, putting up with us.
yeah,
Yeah.
and our foibles.
Yeah, it was good. Be like, please can we try this? And he'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
No, it was ever so nice. Yeah.
And we went, and what we really wanted to do as well was sort of try and capture some of the sounds from outside of the house as well, and so we did that, and we recorded it actually really early December 2024,
Where there was no life.
yeah.
So hi, let's make an album about flowers and nature, but there's no nature or life anywhere to be seen or heard.
It was really, because the weather was good, wasn't it? There was
Yeah.
no snow or rain or
No.
no wind. It was very calm few days, but it was cold, and it was just, I wouldn't say bleak, but everything was washed out.
Yeah.
There was no
No
colour in the
leaves,
sky.
no birds
yeah.
tweeting, there was nothing.
Yeah.
And I think it was really important to us to try and incorporate some of the sounds about some of these like worlds that we're singing and writing about. So we kind of, you know, we had to think a bit outside the box with that and just like kind of think about how we can incorporate the feeling of these flowers and nature without actually being able to record the bugs and too many. Like, we have a little bit of bird sound, but actually what we wanted was, remember, we wanted to have like really intense sounds of insects and stuff. But because of the time of year, we just couldn't capture any of that stuff. So we kind of got around it, or Douglas got around it, by recording sounds that make you think of nature. So he kind of like the sound, like right at the end of the record, you have like the sound of the closing of the door, and it's just, I love that because it makes you think you've been outside in all of these nature sounds, and then you're going inside and you're back to indoor life, you know. And I thought that was like so evocative of that of the nature that you've just been in, rather than recording the nature, which I thought was a really effective way of doing that.
And the sound of the house became a really important thing because we were in such a stimulating environment. The house suddenly became the character of the songs.
It did creak, and there was like, you know, the ticking clock. That was such a like presence, that ticking clock, that, you know, and it really makes you think of those kind of domestic relationships that we also have with flowers. You know, they don't just exist outside. We have them painted on things, or in vases, or in you know, in all forms, on fabrics, on textiles, like, you know, and that the kind of old grandfather clock really like triggers those domestic feelings, you know, of just what the interiors of these big places look like, and, you know, our homes, you know. So I thought that was really effective.
And I think as well, this is the first album, well, it's not the first album, but this record, our third one, is the one with the most players on it as well, other musicians.
Yes.
Because for our first record, James played, I think, a tambourine or something, or a shaker.
Yeah.
And obviously Douglas played some instruments on our How to Read EP. But this one we have a whole...
We've got all sorts.
Star-studded, haven't we?
We've got star-studded. Maybe we need to quickly look at this, but I cannot remember what the brass band is called.
No, we can insert that.
Yeah, we'll insert that. Yeah, because we have a host of people helping.
But it's
out.
Douglas that we've got a fantastic. Well, if you'll probably have heard the record, or will be hearing the record when you first hear this. There's some absolutely incredible brass arrangements across some of the record, and they are contacts of Douglas up in Lanarkshire, and they just, you know, played this wonderful,
so good.
Just before a rehearsal of their own band, they just laid this brass down, and it's beautiful. And we've got Mary on cello as well, haven't we?
Mary Erskine, who is also known as Me for Queen. That's her artist name. Yeah.
And Mary came along for a really late evening. I think it was the last day.
Yeah.
So we were all, I think I pretty much just lay on the floor for the whole.
Yes, you
cello
did lie on the floor.
session.
There's photographic evidence. Headphones on. Yeah.
But that's a lovely part in a recording process when you've done all your bit.
And the guests
and then the guests come on
in and hear this amazing work you've been doing. No, she did such a fabulous job, and Mary is kind of our link to this place because she is part of the Snowdrop Festival that she curates there, that we're going to play soon, which will be really nice. And it's a celebration of the snowdrops of Cambo Estate, you know, and it's really, really nice. So she was thankfully the person who put us in touch with that beautiful opportunity. Yeah,
and I think we've named the first track Snowdrop out of a
little
memento of a nod to Cambo.
A salute to Cambo.
What else? There was something else burning. I was going to bring up, Samantha, about the recording.
To do with the arrangements?
No,
the guests?
I was going to move away from the music. I was going to talk about the front cover.
Oh.
So the packaging is really important to me. I think to you as well.
Yeah.
It's like how you wrap it up. They never say judge a book by a cover, but I always do, and I think everybody does. Let's be honest. So can you explain? Because I think the front cover is quite sort of personal to you.
The front cover is well, first of all, because it's coming out on Douglas's label Pyrophon. And he has quite an aesthetic for all of the releases that he has, and they have like they're almost like a little bit abstract, and you don't quite know what's going on. But so we didn't want something that was too on the nose. We wanted something that was a little bit mysterious, because I think the music is a little bit like that. And so we've chosen a photograph that was taken in my granny's house up in the northeast of Scotland, which is also where we recorded it. And it's of a porcelain doll that my granny had that I kind of remember. I almost remember the smell of it, and I remember when it used to get a bit dusty, and it's so nostalgic. These like kind of, she probably got them in, you know, when you sign up to things in magazines, you get like postal kind of weird porcelain dolls, and it used to sit. So she used to face them looking out the window. My granny, so that because
not spooky at all.
No, my granny's house was on the train line which goes through St Andrews. It's that northeast train that like ends up at Aberdeen, but stops at Montrose. And she would have the dolls because she didn't want them to, you know, she wanted them to be able to see out. And it's a beautiful picture of this doll being reflected in the window of my granny's back bedroom. And it has like a little floral dress on, and that's kind of the only nod to flowers on it, really. But it's kind of really golden, and you almost kind of can't quite tell what's going on until you look at it. But it's beautiful. I think it fits the music so well. Yeah,
I think for me it was like you say, we didn't want anything to be too obvious, and if you listen to the record, it is quite experimental, and we wanted that. We didn't want it just to be here's Matt and Samantha, and here's a selection of songs that we've written.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be a little bit more oblique than that, and the front cover, I think, lends that. We didn't want that to be what's the word I'm thinking of, sort of generic too.
Yeah.
It's it's quite, everything's quite oblique in it, and I think that's what we wanted, and it's a lovely, as you say, Douglas's label has got that lovely aesthetic to it.
It's quite clean, but a little bit kind of odd, you know. And it's very golden. It's quite warm. It's not, even though it's quite an abstract and odd picture, it's still quite warm at the same time, which I think is what the music sounds like as well. It's like a little bit off kilter, but it's still quite warm and inviting, and it makes you feel quite relaxed when you listen to it. It's not a kind of awkward sounding thing, and the picture has that kind of nostalgia, yet it's still a bit like, ooh, what's going on in this picture? And you kind of have to really look at it to really get what it is as well. Yeah.
And do you still have the dolly? Do we know where the dolly is?
No, I don't know where that dolly is. Only in photo. And it is it's a scan of a photo that my brother took. That's
okay.
So it is a scan of, like a kind of Kodak proper picture that Douglas took probably in 95 or something, probably, I would think the picture's from. Maybe even a little bit earlier than that.
I love photographs as front covers. I
Yeah.
think there's something really sort of journalistic about it, and I do really like artwork as well. You know, like graphic art and illustrated art. But there's something about photograph that brings. I don't know. There's something a bit more modern about it. But the music sort of fits. With
photos have just got such a unique way of making you. There's so much, as you say, journalistic is really a good way of putting it. But you just. Yeah, they're very thought-provoking in just a very different way, I think, from illustrations. Have you ever had a picture of yourself on a front cover?
This is it's a really interesting question. So I always want to avoid putting a photo of me on my records because of two reasons. Firstly, I think as soon as a listener sees you, they make a judgment about the music. And when you listen to a record and you don't know what the people playing the record look like, I think you create more of a connection with the music. And secondly, I'm going to age, and I don't want to look at records of me.
Vain.
Yeah, I know, but it kind of, I want it to be timeless, and and I'm not timeless, sadly. So I don't want to associate my being with the music, because I want the music to exist in its own space. And there have been EPs and records that I've released where the labels releasing them said, no, you've got to have a picture of you. We want a picture of you on it because it sells it better, not because of my dashing good looks, but I think,
although you are gorgeous,
thank you, but it helps, I think, people identify with something. But I never want them. What about you?
I've never had a photo. I've never had a picture of myself as a front cover. I've always thought of it as another opportunity to say something else. You know, it's like, so it's, I mean, I have a photo of me on early works, or an illustration of me on early works, and then a photo of me on the tape cassette version. But it's me as a child, which is what the music was inspired by. So it kind of made sense. And then the front cover of the CD is someone has done an illustration of me, so it's like fan art, which I think is really interesting because it also feels like the music. But it's always been, I've always felt like it is an opportunity to tell one more story. It's like with the artwork that I don't think just me standing with my guitar could do. So it's like, I've got one extra creative choice that I can make to just like add an extra little dynamic to what this music is about and what this music is saying. So I've never really found the appeal, but I do think it probably does make it harder to sell things without a picture of your face on it.
I think it's because I as a songwriter, I don't really have a strong aesthetic. So, if you were in Kiss, like Kiss have got an aesthetic, so like Kiss need to be on the record because that is what people see. Whereas for me, people don't need to see me.
No.
And it's interesting what you say about that creative choice. I remember when I was sort of 18, 19, I bought a record called Levittown by a Louisiana blues guitarist called Sonny Landreth. Slide guitar player, and I remember the CD packaging was this sort of fold out, and he had tracing paper, and then it was maps of Louisiana on this tracing paper, and then it was these sort of sepia stained photos, and everything about that packaging drew me into the music, which was very, it was all sort of Zydeco Louisiana sort of music. So, and it was kind of spooky, and I suddenly realised how important packaging is to that journey. And in this age of digital Spotify, people forget that actually the artefact is really, really important. For me, it's really important.
No, I totally agree. I was at a gig recently where they were selling records of, like, I think it was a Berlin label, and I'll have to remember what it is, and we can go back to that. But all of the packaging for the vinyl was all handmade and hand lettered, and like kind of everything was unique and handmade. And I just thought that's just, that kind of extra detail, especially when it's so hard to sell things and everyone is digital, as you say, it's just that extra detail just makes such a difference to the narrative of it, to the kind of experience of it, to how special it is to own it. I think that
it's right, isn't it? Because also when you're spending so much money to create an LP or manufacture CDs, you want to give it the best chance. And if someone's going to give you £25 or £15 for something, you want them to go away. Because when I was young, I loved going away and going, wow, look at the packaging and who was the second engineer and all that. And you want, if you're going to make a physical product and you're going to spend your hard-earned money on creating that, you want to give it, you want to make it a great thing.
You want it to be beautiful, And I just don't think my face being on the front of something is going to make it any more beautiful.
Well, Bob Dylan's been doing it, hasn't he?
Oh no, bless him, and look how many records he's sold. So maybe let's just like scrap that granny's photos and just like get a little close up of me and you.
But Dylan, worst album covers ever.
That's true. He does have some terrible albums.
Debate.
Yeah.
See what comments.
What do you think?
Write in. Call in.
Write in. Text 88081.
But we've got some gigs coming up, haven't we? So we're going to hopefully because obviously it's really hard. We do our own music, and we're all very busy doing our own projects. So sometimes getting together and working on this project, it takes a long time. And so we're hoping later this year, next year, 2026, we might get the chance to do a bit more of a longer tour. A wee tour.
That'd be really nice, because I think it's because also we didn't get to tour How to Read because of lockdown. Because we had a little bit of gigs for that, and then it kind of got cancelled and stuff because of the pandemic. So we still have never done that. So we're due to do it. So we're going to do it next year sometime, I think. Right? Yeah.
I'm trying to think the last gig we played together
was in Leon Sea, a Fisherman's Chapel, like in October.
No, but like us as a...
Oh, sorry.
I was like,
hello.
I do have a bad memory. But as us as a duo.
We haven't done that for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was at the Green Note? Was it at the Green Note, maybe?
Oh, maybe. All my Green Note gigs, the Green Note's a venue in London, they all merge into one.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's just that sort of venue that you think, I can't remember which gig it was.
Because we were meant to do a gig at the Harrison together, and I think I was ill.
You were, yes.
Which is not like me. It's not like me to cancel a gig, but I was ill.
Was that the fundraiser one? I can't remember.
No, I think... Anyway.
Yeah, who knows? And
it's been a while, and we're going to do this one in Cambo. We're actually going to Cambo.
We're going back.
Going back to Cambo.
Back to Cambo. And that's going to be the live EP that will be coming out after Back to Cambo.
Back to Cambo, the Snowdrop edition. And it's just going to have a picture of Bob Dylan on the front.
And it will sell thousands. And everyone will go, Bob Dylan's not even on this.
And also we did... No, anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so we're doing that, and then we've got a gig in Hastings.
Yeah.
And then you're off doing Eddie Reader. I
am, yes. I was just thinking of all the tours and the driving. The journey back from Cambo after recording was hellish for me. It was that I literally followed the storm back down south, and I stopped. I had great designs to sort of stop at like somewhere posh, like Grantham Moto Services, or T-Bay, and sort of just have a stop and have an hour. Coffee.
Nice, a fancy sausage roll.
Yeah, exactly. But what actually ended up happening was I stopped twice. Once to fill up with petrol and then get on my way, and once to go to the loo and get back on the road. And it took me about just under 10 hours, I think. And I was crippled when I got back home.
Oh God, you poor thing. Also, because it was hard. It was long hours, hard work. So it was like, it was quite a journey for you. Yeah, it was quite a big journey for you. Yeah. Well, we got something beautiful out of it. Yeah, I'm so happy with it.
Yeah, I am too, and I think it feels like every time we do something, we just we tweak the dials a little bit and just hone in a little bit more about what it's all about. But,
and it's been really nice to have Douglas involved again, because he obviously did How to Read, and he did such a fabulous job and got the brief.
He got the brief
perfectly, and it's better than I could have imagined, actually. So yeah, very
brilliant.
Happy with it.
And we hope you like it.
We hope you like it too. Please.
Thanks for listening.
Bye. Is it simple like gold through the window, tea on the table? Know that not every day can be a perfect day, 'cause there'll be petals pulled